Hey everyone, welcome to another week of the Video Vantage podcast. My name is Haley, and once again, I've got my co host Mike here with me. And this week, we're doing another platform deep dive into social media. But this week, we are talking all about TikTok. Mike, thanks for joining me this week.
Hey, Haley, good to see you.
Great to see you too. Shall we get right into our conversation?
Let's do it. I mean, I'm really interested to get your perspective on TikTok. I mean, you are the resident biteable TikTok expert. I think you're also a resident expert on TikTok amongst other platforms because I feel like every couple of weeks I'm hearing about an invitation you're getting to speak on someone else's channel about your experience with TikTok. So I'm really excited to talk with you about this because it's not my first platform, although I'm embracing it, but I have a lot of questions for you. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hear him.
so I guess first of all, I'm just trying to think through like what are like some of the biggest trends and challenges that have dominated TikTok this year so far in 2023.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest changes this year, and I think we'll kind of see this change continue to happen. But when TikTok first launched, it was known as kind of the dancing platform and the lip syncing platform, kind of like a Musically. And there were some skit videos similar to the old school Vine, but it was a lot of dancing and a lot of lip syncing. But this year, we've really seen original videos kind of come to light a bit more. So I would say there's been some huge trends, and honestly, it's hard to name them because with TikTok, the trends happen a few times a week and they last for about 5 to 7 days, and then we're on to a new trend. So it's hard to kind of point out specifics of, oh, here's been a big one. Here's another one. Right now, one of the big trends is something called Tube Girl. Have you heard of that before?
I have not.
Okay, so it's one girl, her name is Sabrina. I believe she's from the UK, and she does these videos that she records of herself in .5 lens, so it's a bit
Hmm.
stretched out, and she films herself on the tube in London, and she just kind of puts on a fun song and embraces her confidence, and her hair is blowing in the wind from the tube, and she just films herself lip syncing. So that's kind of the big moment right now is like TikTok's really embracing the confidence that she has. So everybody's kind of trying to embrace their inner tube girl and going on whatever public transport they have and filming these videos. So that's an example of one trend on TikTok right now. In general, I'd say TikTok trends rely heavily on TikTok sounds, whether it's a promoted new audio. So, Olivia Rodrigo's new album is out right now. Her songs have been really going through a bunch of different trends, little clips from those new songs, or sometimes it's like clips from maybe a TV show or a movie or just an original audio that another TikTok user has created. So TikTok relies very heavily on those sounds. But what I mentioned earlier, that original style content has become very, very popular right now on TikTok. So it's
Interesting.
kind of creating your own little skit. Maybe it's you acting out a few different characters or being a few different people and telling a story within 20 to 60 seconds and kind of continuing that as a little mini series on your TikTok page.
Interesting. So, like, my observation is that, like, some of the trends that I see, I'm aware of how they get started. So, for
Yep,
example, like right now, there's a lot of stuff around the whole like Taylor Swift, Travis Kelsey, Taylor taking over the NFL. There's a lot of that stuff happening, and that I understand why, right?
totally.
Um, Things trending around a new artist's album makes sense to me. But some of
Yep.
these challenges that I see, like, how do those? Where are these coming from? Who's making up these challenges? Do you have an idea for where those are coming from?
Honestly, sometimes it's just a very typical TikTok user. I remember there was one trend that dominated, I would say maybe last year, could have even been the year before, and it was one TikTok user. I don't believe she had a large following at the time, but she just asked the camera a question. She said, "What is something that lives rent-free in your head?" And then she said, "Here's something that lives rent-free in my head." And people started stitching that video and just saying like, "Here's something that lives rent-free in my head." And it became a huge trend to the point where like you pretty much wanted to hear the phrase rent free in my head never again. You were tired of it. But that was just a great example of like the power that TikTok has where you don't really control what blows up and what doesn't get much traction. You
Hmm.
can be a brand new account and post a video that absolutely goes completely viral and kind of like sets you on this trajectory, or you could have a ton of followers and create a video and it doesn't get much views. So a lot of times it's just very normal people and a trend kind of spirals out of nothing.
Well, I'm guessing that the one video that I posted of me doing the Lizzie McAlpine is, there was a comment saying like, "How has this not gone viral?" But clearly, it's probably not going to at this point. Which
At this
brings me,
point, probably not.
which is fine actually. The fewer people who see that, the better. But the question I have, I guess, that leads into that is, some these things that go viral,
Yeah.
right? How does the TikTok algorithm, to the best of your knowledge, play into that? And how has it changed over time and either improved or hurt potentially creators this year?
Totally. I think it's definitely changed a lot over time. I would say TikTok still has one of the better algorithms out of the social media platforms for content discoverability. So, regardless of your following size, you have a good chance of getting your content seen by people who don't follow you. Whereas that's a little tougher on a platform like Instagram or LinkedIn, where they kind of rely pretty heavily on your followers. And
Hmm.
that's because primarily when you're scrolling TikTok, you'll be in the For You page and not the following feed. So, the For You page is just curated content based on your interests. So I'd say this year, what we've seen a lot of is the algorithm has kind of gone in waves. Content discoverability is still really good on TikTok, but it's a lot harder now than when the app first launched. It's no longer this new app where you can go viral overnight and gain a platform overnight. That's still possible, but it's a lot harder to do now. I'd say we've seen a lot of older videos starting to gain traction. So maybe there is a chance for your Lizzie McAlpine music video. I've been getting notifications on Bitable's page from people interacting with videos that we posted in 2021. So it's kind of
Mm,
like interesting because we haven't done anything new on that video, but it's being served somehow. So I always tell people, like, even if your videos didn't perform very well when you posted it, just leave it up. Like, don't delete it. Nobody really cares how many views it got because you never know when the algorithm will kick in and start boosting it and pushing it out. So I have seen that kind of trend of the older content being pushed, and again, those skit style original videos are kind of dominating right now. And I think the
yeah.
nice thing about those is they're pretty evergreen. So, trends, especially trends that are focused on sounds or moments in pop culture, it's easy for those to fade out quickly once that moment fades out quickly. And if somebody sees that video 2 years later, they might think, like, what is this? It doesn't really make sense. Whereas your original skit style video will still make sense. It'll still be funny. So, people will still interact with it.
Interesting. One of the things that I've noticed in my consumption of TikTok videos, and whether it's me just endlessly scrolling through the page, right? My For You page, or like my son sending me something, my daughter sending me something. Um, the length of the video seems to have changed over time. So like
Definitely.
initially, like I always thought of like TikTok as like super short 6-second videos,
Yeah.
and now some of the videos that I'm seeing are a couple minutes,
Yes.
and which is drastically different, right? And
Totally.
so, um, I don't know if this is just me, survey size of one, but like, what's your experience or observation? What are you hearing in the community around, are shorter or longer videos better or more popular?
Yeah, so TikTok rolled out recently the ability to create 10-minute videos. I'm not sure if that's something everybody has access to yet or if it's just certain countries, but that is like you can make videos up to 10 minutes long, which is basically a YouTube video at that point. I think we're kind of seeing a shift away. Like you said, when TikTok first started, it was very heavy on like the 7-second videos. They were so short. I think that has definitely gotten longer. I would say on average, the videos are probably between 20 seconds and a minute long, depending on the style of video, with those original skit videos being a bit longer and those trend videos typically being a bit shorter. I think if you're going to lean into the longer videos, you have to be a great storyteller and you have to be very captivating on camera, which is a hard thing for a lot of people to do. It's a hard skill to have and to perfect. If you've got it, run with it and take advantage of that. One thing I have noticed on longer TikTok videos, they'll kind of capture the essence of a short TikTok video in the sense that they have a lot of quick cuts. So it might be a 2-minute video, but maybe they're doing something to distract you, or the clips are constantly changing. So your mind is kind of like entertained in that sense. And it makes you feel like you haven't been watching for much longer. So I would say the average duration of a video has definitely gotten longer. 3-minute videos and 10-minute videos, I would say, are still pretty hard to, like, capture somebody's attention for the full time. A lot of videos I see are definitely not that long. People are kind of still embracing the short form video, but it's a little bit longer than 7 seconds now.
Yeah, and so from an attention keeping standpoint, what I
Yeah.
notice in those longer videos is it'll those this. there'll be a caption or a title, wait till the end, wait,
Yes.
right, type of thing. Or it'll say
Yep.
like part one of two or whatever it is, right? Or this is part
Absolutely.
two of whatever. And then I find myself like going, like falling for it,
Yep.
waiting to the end. And then sometimes I'm disappointed, like nothing happened.
Absolutely.
But
Yes.
I'm curious, like, are people doing these longer videos? Do they make more money off of them for view time? Do you know? And like, I'm also just curious, like, what kind of, how do people monetize TikTok? I mean, I understand how
Yeah.
the YouTube works, but that the YouTube monetization works. Is it similar on TikTok or is it different?
It's not quite as good on TikTok, and I'll speak from a Canadian perspective. It's probably a bit different in America because that's where they kind of release all of these new features first, but they do have the Creator Fund available in America, not available in Canada. But the Creator
Mm,
Fund pays you for views on your TikTok video. I believe you need 10,000 followers to enter the Creator Fund, but it pays you pennies. Like you'll get a video that has a million views and maybe you'll make $10 on it. Whereas on YouTube, you'd probably make a couple of hundred from that, or maybe even more.
mm,
So Creator Fund, I've heard mixed reviews about whether or not it's worth it to join, but you're not going to be making a lot of money from it. There are a few other ways that people will make TikTok or money on TikTok. The biggest one is brand deals, where a company, similar to any other social platform, pays you to incorporate their product in some way. And another interesting one on TikTok is I've heard of companies actually paying creators to use specific sounds. So, for example, if there was a new artist coming out with a new song and they really wanted it to do well on TikTok, they would pay creators to make a video of whatever they wanted with the sound in the background and kind of be paid that way. So,
interesting.
that's how they're making the money. I don't think there's any benefit to having in a paid capacity a longer video. But one thing I think it is a nice kind of segue into practicing for a channel like YouTube, where long form content is more of the norm. So it could get your audience used to that and then transfer your audience over to YouTube where you're sharing those longer videos, and monetization is a lot more lucrative. And then you can create that content there.
Nice. Awesome. Any last like tips that you would give to somebody who's maybe either starting a new channel or trying to get, they've had a channel for a little while, they're trying to get it to lift off? Any advice you give
Totally.
them?
Yeah, I'd say the hardest thing is to start. So just get started. Don't think about it too much. Don't be afraid to experiment and fail. If you have a channel that hasn't quite gotten the attention that you've wanted, spend some time engaging with other accounts that are creating content that you like or that is in your niche or that you kind of look up to. There's a huge engagement factor on TikTok, along with every other platforms, but especially on TikTok. So just spend that time kind of building the community through engagement, and also just change up the style of the content you're posting to. If it hasn't worked so far, maybe try and go a different route and see if that's any better. But overall, I'd say definitely the hardest part is just getting started. So if you're putting yourself out there, kudos to you. It's a hard thing to do. Keep going and don't give up on it.
Awesome. Well, I think that's a great way to maybe just, we'll segue to the end of our this episode. So for those of you who haven't started and want to do it, just get started and get going. But for now, we're going to end our this episode of the podcast, the Video Advantage. And thanks for joining us today. And Haley, thanks for all the advice you've given us.
Thanks so much, Mike. We'll see you next week.
All right, take care.